Hi, it's Norman Kochannek here to talk to you about a continuing series on cricket diaries or summer cricket diaries that relate and specifics to Australia. We've talked about the Sydney Cricket Ground, the SCG, Adelaide Oval with its great cathedral, amphitheatre and its surrounds, the Victor Richardson Gates, of course, and we've talked about Bowral in terms of both Bradman Oval, the Bradman Museum, both 52 Shepherd Street and 20 Glebe Street that all adorn Bowral in terms of cricketing history. We mustn't also forget Adelaide has also got the home of Sir Donald Bradman in his last 65 years of life. And of course the MCG, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, or the G. We've actually spoken about that quite a bit, especially in regards to the outer area of the stadium and such things as the 16 statues that exist. But there's a lot more to the MCG than meets the eye. In fact, the MCG currently in its configuration with well over 100,000 seats has a main members stand or reserve as one of its main stands. It also has the northern stand, which is also called the Olympic stand. It also has an area called the Great Southern Stand, which also then adjoins to the Bill Ponsford stand. So the stadium has some significant stands and pavilions within the main ground. Also, the Melbourne Cricket Club has its place in the stadium, and clearly with AFL, a number of AFL relationships as well. But the MCC is more than just a sports venue, quite frankly. It's a place where memories are made and childhood dreams come alive. There are fleeting moments at the G that stay with you and all that come with you forever. Ask any Victorian and they'll be aware of the Melbourne Cricket Ground status at the home of sport. In fact, one of the famous sports journalists, Greg Baum, refers to the MCG as the Sydney Opera House for Sydney or the Eiffel Tower for Paris. So is the MCG to Melbourne. And I would agree with that. And you have Flinders Station, of course, and you have maybe your Opera House in its form, but the MCG and that whole sporting precinct that surrounds is certainly one of the significant and iconic locations within Melbourne. It's also steeped with a rich history when it was established back in 1853, at less than 20 years after the founding of Melbourne. It is often described as the so-called beating heart of this fantastic city. It's been the home of Australian rules football as well. Australian rules football has been very significant since 1859 and was the birthplace of Test cricket in 1877 and a one-day international cricket format, in 1971, with the likes of Packer, I'm sure, being heavily involved there. It was the main stadium for both the 1956 Olympic Games and the 2006 Commonwealth Games. It attracts up to 100,000 fans, in some cases as many as 120,000 fans, for annual AFL Grand Finals, and the G comes to life at Christmas and Boxing Day tests as well. Other sporting spectacles to have been held in this include, of course, the World Cup, qualifiers for soccer, rugby league home with the Melbourne Storm have played there, a number of the State of Origins, the so-called International Rugby Union and Austral wheel races, and several other major events as well. But the G is more affectionately known to locals as Australia's biggest sporting stadium. In fact, it's the biggest one in the Southern Hemisphere, only matched by the likes of the stadium in Gujarat and Eden Gardens in terms of its physical size. There's also a number of other locations which say they're matched, but I don't think they match the atmosphere of the MCG. It's nestled in Yarra Park, which is an area at parts of Melbourne, and truly is the heart of Melbourne. It should never be considered anything other than that. It's where all the functions and tourism actually centres, and the general public alike always visit that area every day of the week. This is Norman Kochannek on Melbourne Cricket Ground and its history. Don't forget to see the series and look at the other venues that we're talking about, including SCG, Adelaide Oval and the Gabba in the future. This is Norman Kochannek.